It's 11 o'clock. We're going live, and I'm off the frame, and that's okay. Hello, everyone.
I don't know if it is.
Welcome to the Red Couch Theology podcast. What do you guys think about what kind of glasses should Alex get?
Oh, yeah.
That's the question. Maybe we should...
Maybe we should acknowledge the guest on our show first.
Total Lennon glasses.
It's not. She's not really a guest. She's hosted the show. I don't think you can be called a guest if you've hosted. Angela Dunn is with us today because she brought the sermon on Sunday, and now we should talk about Alex's glasses.
Well, I think I'm just going to let the church decide. We're just going to have like a morning where
we should have a vote.
Yes.
Oh, Teresa's going to get all of this. We need some AI generated images with Alex in like all different kinds of spectacles.
Yeah. The giant ones.
Yeah, the black, like the heavy black ones, like the detail. Or maybe, because it's only my left eye that they said is bothered by the computer screen, maybe I'll get a monocle.
Yes.
Yes, a monocle.
And
would
then
be
even more,
awesome.
you need a pipe and a monocle. Can you wear one of those hats like Sherlock Holmes?
Yes. Yeah, I can. I actually have one.
Really?
I have it from a fancy dress costume.
Wow.
Or a
We should have known
Halloween costume. So I have a deer stalker. I could wear a coat that's very Sherlock Holmesy, and then I could just,
Do you also play the violin? I'm just checking.
I play the cello.
Oh, okay, that's right.
You
I remember those 4 notes you played at Christmas.
Yeah, Alex plays the cello.
I'm a cellist.
He's officially a cellist because he played Jaws in public.
Yes.
That was my first performance.
Poorly. He played 2 notes on the cello poorly.
I thought they were quite good. What do you know about the cello? You played the cello.
I don't know. Actually, I could be wrong. Maybe it was profound. So why don't you start the actual show while I go fix the focus on the camera because I can't handle it. Cool?
Okay.
Ready, set, go.
Go. Well, Angela, welcome
Thank
to
you.
this den of crazy. Thank you for preaching on Sunday. You did a great job.
Thank
And
you.
I know you got a lot of great feedback. So that's always fun, isn't it?
It is fun.
As much as you can't live on that.
Yes.
Because eventually you get tired of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, you do it the most. So.
Yeah, you definitely get like, I'm not sure that means anything. Especially when people are like, that was a great sermon. I loved that weird story you told.
Oh.
You're like, okay, yeah, let's see where the transformative power of that turns up before we get too excited. I do think a great question to ask people is when they say something like that is like, oh, really? What part of you do you think moved you closer to Jesus?
That is a good. That is a good
way to shame people really fast.
Right.
Well, it's a good like way to nudge them to think about that as they go away. Like, yes, it might give them some sense of like, but I think it just
Digging a little invites them to dig a little deeper.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's easy to
To gush.
Yeah, totally. But but I think
and there are gushers and then there are non-gushers,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, and your husband JD is definitely one who's like, that was amazing, and he says that to me regularly, so he must definitely have said it to you.
He did.
Thank goodness.
Well, good
He
job
did.
for him.
He did.
Yeah,
He sweat a lot of it with me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some investment in it. Is that what it was?
Just a
tiny
tad bit, right?
Yeah.
Around Monday, the Monday before, between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. He had but he tapped out around 1. He was like, "Are we good?" And I'm like, "I'm good. You can go to bed." But I mean, what a great guy to be able to sacrifice sleep to support, be present.
I love it.
So
you're a good guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say that my wife regularly says to me, at least around like me preaching, she says, she's very sweet. She always says, "I always think you're good." So
Of course.
that's kind of. She does always say whenever people come up to her and say, "Oh man, your husband has such a great accent." Oh. She's like, "I feel like I don't notice, so I feel like." There was no point marrying someone with an accent. No, it's just what you sound like.
Right. She's like,
yeah,
not really
sure,
special.
right? Whatever. Yeah, sure he does. to you.
Right?
Yeah.
So
She's like, what accent? There's an accent? You heard an accent?
Wait, isn't he American?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's always
Joyzy.
interesting to hear those responses of the people closest to you, because they usually, I think, we might all say very sweet, but they're certainly not going to let you get too big-headed.
Oh, absolutely not.
They're going to keep you grounded.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So you preach as part of this John series, and you were assigned this passage. How did that feel being assigned a text? Because like you've done a decent chunk of teaching actually in various different environments, which you mentioned briefly on Sunday in sisterhood and MOPS groups and even done some public speaking teaching training.
Oh, yeah.
For folks. But have you ever been assigned a text like that before?
No, not one that was that long. And so that was challenging. It was a little intimidating at first just to go, wow, there's a lot to cover.
I would say I did tell everyone preaching that you don't have to cover every verse.
Yes, you did. And Erin actually reminded me of that.
I did, and she decided she wanted to.
Yeah,
so.
Right. Oh,
That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like the lots
This is
of
both
verses.
him and I trying to make sure that we're not in trouble.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, totally.
The lots of verses is on you, not on us.
Right. Exactly.
Which, whenever I complain about the text he assigns, he's always saying, like, I did say this, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it was actually, there was a bit of comfort in having an assigned text. It took out, it's like when you go on the cereal aisle, there's way too many choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was only 3 choices or one
yeah.
choice, or they said you're eating this,
Yeah.
like it just takes the stress out. So that was great.
I hate preaching at another church where they're just like, preach on what you want.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, no, I want to know what you guys are in the middle of learning. Like,
Right.
because, I could think I'm going to preach on this and find out someone spoke on it like 2 weeks before, or like, can't you let me be part of what God is doing in amongst you rather
Right.
than just being this outside voice? So I much prefer the assigned text in that respect. Yeah, I get that.
So you haven't just gone in and said, give me tithing. I want tithing. Like, is that like, I want to preach on tithing
I would
right
actually
now.
happily preach on tithing in a church that I didn't pastor in.
That's great.
It's a lot easier to burn relationships in churches you're not part of. You guys aren't giving enough.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it should be like this circuit where like once a year, every pastor rotates, preaches on tithing and then switches back.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good.
There we go.
out.
You solved the system.
Yeah. So at the series overview, Alex, you sort of started this series with this. Well, we're going through the book of John, so like that's the premise of the series.
Yeah.
But there's sort of a nuanced approach to the book,
I think so.
in the sense that this pass through the book of John, we're focusing on these individual encounters that Jesus has with people. And it's not like going to be a hard, fast rule. We're still just going through the book.
Yeah.
But it's like John goes to the most effort to describe Jesus's interaction with individuals, like sort of hyper focused on that. But the interesting thing about how it's unfolded in the text that Angela was able to preach Sunday is that so far you set that up, but it actually hasn't happened yet until her text. So, and then you got multiple all up front, like real quick. So you were able to actually start to illustrate Jesus's encounter with the one, which is part of what you were describing as this uniqueness. So, Angela, would you just give us a 30,000 foot view? Let's say someone wasn't there on Sunday. Give us sort of a 30,000 foot view of the text that you were assigned and like some of the high points that you really wanted people to remember.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing I want them to remember is that he's a very personal God. You are very different than the person next to you. And he recognizes that. And he not only recognizes that, he created you and he loves that about you. And so being able to say yes, like he seeks you out. He seeks you out. Like he not only seeks you out, but he meets you in that intimacy right where you are. So it's not a one size fits all. He's not like, he's not knocking on doors to, sell roofing. He's coming because there's something that he's asking and engaging with you. And that is, for me, blows every other thought of idols, of other gods out of the water. It gives me no other choice, really, because he is that good and sees that intimately and cares that much. And I think that's why, like, Alex, you setting up the whole, like, he cares deeply, like setting that up, the previous weeks, like that was huge for me. Even leading up to just the few days before I preached is honing in on that.
I think certainly the passage that you had, especially with Nathaniel's story, there's a deep personal nature to it. Like that one always stands out to me. And part of the thinking around this idea of Jesus and the one is that I think if there's a story that you love in John that's unique to John, it's probably Jesus and one person. Like those are the stories, the narrative moments that stand out. There's some wonderful teaching, and as we'll get to the second half of John, that starts to fade out. It's much more about dialogue with the disciples. You see bits of it with Judas, with Peter again at the end with John, but like it's located primarily in the first half. And Nathaniel's really the first moment where you see Jesus' supernatural ability to see people. The language in this one will be, while you were under the fig tree, I saw you.
Yep.
And for Nathaniel, that clearly hits pretty heavy.
Big time.
Either because of the analogy or because of where he's just physically been. And Jesus does that over and over again.
Yeah. So you're saying, like, out of those characters, maybe the Nathaniel one jumps out to you. What about for you, Angela? Like, when you were studying this, was there one of those disciple encounters that, like, pulled on your heartstrings the most?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Nathaniel did definitely. He was actually the easiest one to exegete.
Yeah.
And to really pull from his story. But the one that spoke to me the most was Simon.
Yeah. Interesting.
Simon, absolutely. And just Jesus, like, knowing, like, you are just this, boom, you are. This is who you are. This is who you're going to be. This is who I'm making you.
Yeah. So I would love, because that was actually the part of your message that spoke most to me. And you brought in a quote. I'm not necessarily expecting you to have it memorized or whatever, but you brought in a quote from D.A. Carson, I believe.
Yeah.
So can you unpack this idea of what's going on with this naming? It's not just, hey, you now have a new name. There's like some other stuff there that could you highlight that again? Yeah,
no, it's the fact that it was D.A. Carson, and I think I think also part of Leslie Newbegin, but basically them saying that no, he doesn't just see you. He really, it's this invitation, like, hey, I know you. It's not just I see you. It's not just that God or Jesus, like, names people or is omniscient or any of the other things. It's very specifically, I know who you are, and I'm the one that names you. And so I'm actually going to tell you who you are. And then for me, where the rubber meets the road is that then he makes you who you are.
Yeah, that was the
pressure
piece that
is off.
Fascinating to me.
He makes you who you are. And I mean, yeah, I can't remember exactly what the quote was now, but it was that kind of intentionality in the commentary saying, no, this is bigger than he just names you and gives you a new name. He's actually the one that is the initiator of all the work in doing that.
So, like, by renaming him, he starts a process of turning him into what he just named him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's really up to the Lord. Like we participate, absolutely. We have volition, but it's really up to the Lord to make us who he says we are.
Yeah.
Again, with that participation. And that it's really, I see it as a form of submission or relational surrender. I mean, that's why I kept coming back to surrender so much, that it's an imperfect surrendered yes.
Everything's about surrender.
Oh, it's so fun.
Alex and I were joking that we need to just write so many more songs about surrender, because we could add them to almost every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then when you do I Surrender All, like 40 weeks in a row, it's like, all right, come on. There's got to be some other options.
Right?
Yeah. I'm going to write a song called I Surrender Everything.
Oh, yeah.
With the same tune
It's
as
going
I
to be a
Surrender
huge...
All.
I surrender everything.
Yes.
It doesn't quite flow.
Todos. We'll say in different languages.
If you can find a way to do it, then
Maybe I'll just change it all to more and then try and rebrand it as
more
a song.
than them, more than the ones who wrote Surrender All. I surrender the most.
The most. More than anybody in the room.
All right, this is going downhill.
Right.
So could you maybe, I've got the passage here.
Yeah.
So you just highlighted a couple things, I think, from Sunday.
Yeah.
You were trying to demonstrate a couple things. One, that he kind of customizes it
Yes.
to the knowledge. And then, so maybe could you walk us through like how he does that with some of these characters? I can pull it on the screen if we want to.
Yeah.
For those who are watching, since they're better.
Well,
we've
I think the biggest example, if
I'm in the wrong.
I'm putting on my glasses because I do not have
trying to get to chapter 1
vision.
So we have, let's see, Philip and Andrew.
Yes.
So wait, right up the top. Wait, further back. So John, the opening of the passage, like John the Baptist says, that's the guy. And then this two disciples, which you said is John and Andrew. And you say, turn around. Jesus saw them following and asked, what do you want? And they said, Rabbi, which means teacher, where are you staying? So what, maybe highlight some of the things you observed in that section.
Right. I think part of what I observed was the fact that like he didn't just turn and see them. Like the word there saw is actually he like gazed intently, like as if studying them. So it wasn't just like he took a glance, like a once over and like, what do you guys want? And I actually stumbled upon, because I was like, there's got to be more to this. That question of like, what do you want? It's in my mind ludicrous. Like in our day and age, if you're with the number one religious guru, so to speak, like you don't mince words. You ask what you want. But back then, it really was a cultural nuance. At least two of the commentaries were pointing out, like, I think I looked through about 8 different commentaries, and at least 2 of them were like, this is a cultural nuance. This is them showing respect. This is them not wanting to overtake him, but also being like, hey, yeah, you're the one. Like, we want to know. And the fact that he invited them to come and learn more, it wasn't just this, yeah, I'm the one, and I can just tell you right now all the answers to all your questions. Like I could probably just download it to you right now. But instead, no, let's come and dialogue. Like, let's go off. Let's come with me. You're invited here.
So are they testing the waters with him? Is that the vibe you're talking about? Or is it?
I think like what I got out
hesitant or what?
I think what I got out of it was the one that we trusted, which was John the Baptist. We trusted him the most. And he's saying, you're the one.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we trust that. However, we maybe have a few questions. We've got some, You
Yeah.
know, I don't even know if it's concerns, but like there's some things to flesh out here. Like maybe because, especially since John the Baptist was told this by God,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't like another person told him this. No, this is how you're going to know it's him. And so for me, it's not necessarily skepticism or concern. It's more like, hey, we think you're the one. It's curiosity, and we maybe have a few more questions. And do you mind?
Yeah.
Would you?
You know what's so fascinating about this? All these encounters, like, because you and I spent a decent chunk of time talking through this passage.
Yes, you're very gracious.
I think it's a good example of how you're supposed to read between the lines in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because at a face value, you could just read this passage and some of those nuances wouldn't come out. But like, there's these, you have to start to do a little bit of imaginative thinking. These two characters, they're religiously or spiritually on high alert because they're following the greatest, most interesting religious prophet of their day, John the Baptist. So they have like a religious and spiritual interest. They're not disinterested. They're highly interested. Their leader says this. So like you have to almost insert all these assumptions, like what are they feeling and their curiosity and all this stuff. And then within a few moments, they're like, whatever they talk about, it would be awesome to know what they talked about that afternoon,
Fly
right?
on the wall.
So they meet, they go see where he's staying, and they spend the day with him, and then like imagine the massive pendulum swing in their life where they just like, yes, John was correct.
But I love the next moment where, and I don't know if you talked about this, maybe you did, and it's a bit of a filler. Verse 43, the next day Jesus decided to leave for Galilee.
Yes.
Like in modern terms, that's like someone saying like, hey, do you want to be in a startup? And they're in New York City. And then like the next day is like, you know what? We're going to start this thing in Albany, New York.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
It must have been quite like, you know,
a shocker.
You're right next to the center of religious life in the first century.
We found the guy, and he's exiting the stage.
Yeah, he is.
It's just a bit left field. Like, you know, we're just going to go up north for a little while.
Do you want to follow? Do you want to stay?
Yeah, it's, you know, and then he, you know, starts building more, or recruiting more disciples.
Yeah.
Up there.
Oh, yeah.
But again, with this intentional purpose of like, it seems like long before Philip and Nathaniel became his disciples, he has in mind Philip and Nathaniel, which is actually is one of the ways where you see Jesus, like, I think the foreknowledge of Jesus is more evident in John than it is in any of the other Gospels. There's definitely language that, you know, there's an awareness of a mission and where this is all going in Matthew, Mark, Luke. But in John, like the language here with Nathaniel, the language with the woman at the well, like, you know, you have 5 husbands and the one you're with is not your husband.
Yeah.
Like whether you'd call that like in the modern day, like charismatic movement, like a word of knowledge or something like that. Like there's a way of operating in Jesus that's a little bit distinct.
Yeah.
Which
is just fascinating. But yeah, that movement always just gathers my attention because the synoptic movements are a little bit different where Jesus is in different points. So he starts in Jerusalem here. There's this quick jaunt almost up to Galilee. The next passage, the wedding in Cana, will be in Galilee. And then he's back down to Jerusalem. And, you know, it's just very up and down.
Yeah. But only in John, right?
Only in John, right? Yeah. In Jesus is in the synoptics, he's in Galilee all the time, and
so
finally
can you tell
makes
the audience
this
what
journey.
synoptics is?
Sorry, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the see together ones, the ones that are similar.
And then John's the outlier.
And John's the outlier, so he's always in Galilee, and then he makes this final journey down to Jerusalem. But in John, the action moves around a lot more.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, the religious leaders, they're fine, at least in the synoptics, they're fine as long as he stays
That
up,
seems right, yeah.
Yeah.
right? They're fine as long as he stays out of the holy city, he stays out of their way. And then when he starts coming down, they are not so fine.
Yeah.
Like there's this bit in John 7 where he's back in Galilee, and his brothers are basically taunting him, like, shouldn't you be in Jerusalem? Like, if you really can do all the things you say you do.
So sibling-like.
Yeah.
Right?
Just
Show
interesting us. how the flow is in this text.
Yeah.
But again, always with a purpose, always with some reason for being where it is. So,
Yeah. So, so this first group of, of people that he encounters, these first disciples he calls, I mean, he tells them to come and see. And you and I were joking in your preparation of the message that, like, if you're looking for a step-by-step instruction on how to call disciples, this would be the most unhelpful passage ever, because it's not the same for any of the others. No. So this one, he says, come and see. And then the next one, so like talk about the next one that happens, which is, so Andrew... And then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had said and who followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and to tell him we found the Messiah. And he brought him to Jesus, and Jesus looked at him. We talked a little bit about this already on the show. And he looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which means Peter. So, like, talk about that a little bit. Like, why does he customize it for Peter? Do we know?
I don't think we can know 100%, but I tend to lean into the camp, given all the other kind of outlying evidence, is that something's going on there in Simon's heart and with his identity and in his life, that he needs him to call him and tell him who he is.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, really, this is, you think you're this, but you're this. Yeah, exactly. And that's a strong personality too. Like Simon Peter is a strong personality. I mean, I would say he's an Enneagram 8 personally, but
those are the worst.
He's bold, right?
Nobody likes them.
They're so beautiful and healthy.
I
ganged up on
think you could almost like define the first calling as come and see, and then this second one is actually more like I see you. It's like it's like a visual. So and that speaks to maybe some part of Peter that needs to be seen before any movement can happen. I think Matthew especially plays with Peter's cycles of failure and success. He sees Jesus very clearly and then has this moment where he takes him aside and says, "You're not going to do any of the things you said you're going to do." And then he has another wonderful moment where he does something wonderful, and then Jesus takes him up a mountain and he almost does the same thing again. He's like, "Let's just stay here in this little mountain paradise. Let's build tabernacles, live in a dream world." And so Peter's always got this fluctuation that we see. And
he's
so
always got a vision.
So Jesus' work in him takes a long time. I mean, 3 years later, he's still a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Which should give us all a lot of hope.
You get the impression that, like, with the first two disciples, the thing they needed to hear was come and see. And with this one, with Simon, if he'd said come and see, Simon would have been like, "Who's this guy think he is?"
Yeah. But
because he approaches Simon this way, maybe, I don't know, we don't know, but maybe calls out like some heart issue that you were just talking about. A self-doubt maybe, or we don't know, but like either way, what we do know is it's so powerful that this guy drops his whole life and does follow without the come and see on this time.
Yeah.
So, all right. So moving on, is there, what are some ways that he customizes his interaction with Philip and Nathaniel that you noticed?
Well, I mean, for me, Philip was the most direct. I mean, yes, it's very short. He doesn't say a lot. Just, follow me. But I was curious about the fact that, as you said, the invitations were different. They looked different. The engagement was different. So by the time he gets to Philip, it's like, follow me. And I'm thinking, why would he, did he know Philip? Right. And then I was curious about the fact that, since they all came from the same really area, in the same city, basically, did they know each other?
Interesting.
And because also once we get to Philip, then Philip's he went and found Nathaniel. So it implies they knew each other is what I take. What do you take, Alex?
Yeah, I do think the whole, if you try and be too geographical with this text, it really sends you into a bit of a loop. Like why is Peter in Jerusalem? What's he even doing there? We have no kind of framework. Why is a guy that seems to have spent the whole of his life fishing around a lake in Galilee now suddenly in Jerusalem? Why, when all the other gospels say that Jesus called Peter as he's walking down the Sea of Galilee, why does this one have Peter in Jerusalem? Or in Bethany, at least, right next to Jerusalem. So there's...
so you just asked a question. Are you going to try and answer it? or Angela, do you have some thoughts on that?
No, I think that I agree with him because I got stuck in the loop that he's talking about. I mean, I was okay, what, why? I kept asking over and over, why are these people in different places? And then they're all seemingly from the same place. The text is clear about that. But again, why is that so important? And usually,
why mention the places?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, honestly, I'll go on a little bunny trail. Is that honestly one of my new favorite books? Is this one, Rediscovering Israel by Christy McClelland? Only because she talks about when you read something in Scripture, location. Because so often, at least I know for myself, I've been reading the Scriptures since I was about 9 or 10 years old. And no one had ever in all the sermons I pointed out or that I can remember was hey, when you're reading through, location is so important, not just background, not just the history of what's happening right before and right after and where it is in the Bible, but where is it happening? Because they're telling you for a reason. And she just does a beautiful job of saying it's like real estate here, location. It is important.
Yeah.
So
was there any sort of, I think you hinted a little bit out of that in your message about Bethsaida. Was there something going on there that you discovered?
No, not that I remember. I'm no, but Alex might think of something.
Other than it hints at the fact that they knew each other.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Bethsaida is not Nazareth, which is maybe the only value in it. There's some intercity competition of value of one of another. I mean, that would be the only deed. I do think the geography enables John to stretch out the call stories that get very pushed one into another in the synoptics. So in all the synoptics, as far as I can remember, James and John are called together. Andrew and Peter are called together. It all becomes a little bit of a blur. This does enable there's this one and this one and this one and this one in a way that is a little bit more unusual. And of course, we always have to remind ourselves that chronology is not a religion for these people in the same way it is for a historian,
especially for John.
And there's a lot of other scholars that think of John as actually being the best for understanding the history of Jesus' ministry because of the stretched timeline, or because of the larger timeline. So a lot of writers would say it's the synoptics that condense down heavily.
Okay.
John is actually more like accurate in terms of the 3 years of ministry. But he's also very comfortable moving stories from one part to another.
Yeah.
And that maybe is enough to explain why Peter is in Jerusalem
That's a good
in
point. Bethany.
Yeah. When there isn't much evidence that he spent much time down there in the synoptics.
Yeah.
But yeah, that to finish the thought on that chronology piece, there's nothing that offends a 21st century person or anyone after the mid 19th century that offends those people more than inaccuracy in chronology. Well, like you start at the start, right, and you end at the end, right?
Yeah,
and that just doesn't play into most history.
Right.
You know, a good biography on a Roman leader would start with his death and then go back to his birth. You know, the chronology just didn't play the same role that it does for us. We like order in everything. And so it's hard for us to get that that's a new idea. And it's just something that people in the first century didn't care about.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. But honestly, as a storyteller, I do care very much about, because in my thinking along your lines, is the chronology is, of course, you would end with the most, or begin with the most interesting thing. You would hook your audience. Like you would draw them in with the most powerful thing and then go from there.
Yeah.
And then weave things.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how my mind works. But I do understand what you're saying. In general, it is like we want to know down to the detail, like this happened on his 12th birthday and here's why.
Yeah.
Right. And if not, then we're not too sure about this.
Yeah.
You know, we get pretty black and white in there. Yeah. I did read something that suggested that the reason why when you hear about Jesus being born and then all of a sudden it's quiet and then you hit about year 12.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's quiet again. And then all of a sudden he's starting his ministry, that it was because of that time period when young boys are trained and noticed as to whether they have aptitude to be a rabbi or not.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's fascinating to me. You know, it's a suggestion, you know, of what, maybe why that, you know, they all say, yeah, here he is at 12 instead of, and now we're at 30, you know?
Yeah. So like we started this episode, that Jesus has this tendency in the book of John specifically to focus on the one. And then what I think your message, one of the things you did from a more like Bible study side of things is you actually, Alex had made that thesis statement 2 weeks in a row without any actual evidence yet, in the sense that there hadn't been that first one encounter. And then this passage just illustrates it so powerfully, like this beautiful custom interaction with these two characters, and then this deep seeing that he does with Peter, and then this deep seeing that he does with Andrew and Nathaniel, where he just does exactly what you were talking about in encountering the one. So, but you also shared a little bit about your own story, sort of where you felt seen.
Yeah.
And interestingly to me, and what I'd love for you to talk about now is, it wasn't, at least at first, this like, oh, I feel so seen, I'm so grateful. It was actually a pretty painful seeing.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So what happens when in a life where God sees you, names you something new, and you're like, I disagree?
Yeah.
And you have to wait for that to come to fruition. Like, could you talk about some of the emotions of that journey?
Oh, bada bing, bada boom. It was hard. it was, and I think because like you were talking about chronology and condensed storyline, it's so easy for people to think, oh, well, this just happened pretty much over a year and she's all good. No, it was honestly a 10-year journey. Like it started when I was singing a lead role in Asheville, North Carolina. And I came back and I had been suffering from some health issues that the doctors had finally figured out, but it took them years to figure out. And so this one brilliant doctor was like, hey, I'm going to send you off to sing this lead role. You happen to have these vestibular migraines. And I know you can't really control them right now. And they just pop up whenever and completely lay me flat. Like I have to go to bed. So you can't sing and have a migraine like this. And so, but she sent me off with some medication and I was literally holding on to his robes going, you gave me this job. There's no backup singer for me. And if I get a migraine when I have to perform, it's over. And also realizing like this can't happen. Like, so you're going to have to figure something out, Lord. And really, and he did. He was very gracious. I was there 2 weeks singing and I had one migraine on my day off. Wow. Like that for me felt quite miraculous. However, when I came home, I was very much, when you run a race or you've run a marathon, like you're like, I need to sign up for more marathons. Let's get going. Let's get moving. I'm in great shape. And so I came home like with that intent. And instead within 3 weeks, I was flat on my back in my red robe, migraines every single day for a year. Wow. And so what I thought I had coming in a singing career went and my whole identity was stripped during that year. I thought I was going to die.
So it didn't feel as beautiful and as profound.
No.
It's like your name shall be Cephas.
No, it didn't. And I also at that time did not feel like he was saying like, no, you're never like, you're not like, I don't want you to sing. That wasn't it. But I had this huge roadblock and I had to learn to trust him. And I also had to, frankly, learn his love for me during that time, because it was a lot of doing things for Jesus with a beautiful heart behind it, but not fully understanding and experiencing like, if you don't do these things for Jesus, like he still loves you. Like he loves you even more. Like it's okay. You don't have to perform. So like, and then fast forwarding, like we finally, I honestly, I finally figure out, I go to a counselor that was recommended to me and I walk in the room and on the third visit, she's like, I'm a Christian. I pray for my clients. Hey, can I pray for you? I happen to have some experience in the spiritual realm and you have this weird silver band on your head. And I, being a lover of jewelry, thought it was a beautiful silver decorative jewelry piece. And she goes, no, it looks like a torture band. And she goes from like the medieval time. Wow. And I was like, oh, wow. And she goes, and I feel like the Lord's asking me to pray, tell it to go in the name of Jesus. But I trusted her because she said to me, my job is to obey what he's asking me. His job is to determine the outcome. That's why I trusted.
Which is a passage that comes up next week.
Oh, I'm so excited, right? There
you go.
But all of that's happening. And actually, she looks at me and she's like, well, how do you feel after the prayer? And I'm like, everything feels cockeyed still. I still have the migraine, but when he's done with it, I think he will take it. I don't know what that looks like. But again, after a whole year, and then the next morning I woke up and I had no symptoms.
Wow.
I was 100% healed 18 months. And that's during that time, Jonathan was like, well, I'm getting called to New York. We're moving there. The Lord clearly made it like we're going there. And I thought, oh, my career's going to be able to start again.
I'm going to be in New York.
Right? I'm going to be right there in the middle.
For me.
No more Galilee for me. No like Dell, Texas and tiny, this is it. This is the big times. And instead, after we got there, 6 weeks after I got there, all the migraines came back.
Wow.
And I shook my fist at God. I was angry. I felt like, you ask about emotions. I was angry. I felt hurt. I felt betrayed. I went to church because I knew that was a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
But I quite frequently told him, I don't want to talk to you. I am fine watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And because you've so betrayed me and my trust. And he was so kind, like so kind to me during that time period. And he slowly but surely over the next year to 18 months brought people into my life that led me to another round of health, from doctors to you name it.
Yeah.
And he rebuilt my heart. And so by the time you get to me at the piano, sitting there being asked this question by the Lord, I was already back singing, already back coaching, already on the thing again, getting ready to perform. And that's when the weariness hits me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, the bizarreness of God about to offer you everything that you ever thought you wanted. And then
Right.
you've been like, yeah, not actually sure this actually hits the spot that
He's
I...
Right,
like, I
no.
knew that a long time ago.
Right. Well, and part of me wanted to say, well, if you could have told me at 15, that would have been very helpful.
Yeah.
Like we would have chosen a different path. But at the same time, I just look at how gracious God was to me to even ask the question.
Yeah.
To even let me reflect and go, yeah, you are right. And this doesn't feel, but I felt like during that time, he rebuilt my heart for him, and he regained my trust because he was so kind, and he let me rail on his chest.
Do you think any of the opera background helped you when you begin to speak to people?
100%.
Yeah.
I did not see it coming.
Yeah.
Like, I usually make pretty quick connections, but I didn't on this one. I was actually petrified because of that lie that I had believed,
Yeah.
And I was petrified. And it just so happens that my good friend also had been wanting and had felt that stirring, like, I really want to teach and speak. And so we were like, well, why don't we do that together? And it was such a beautiful partnership because the Lord knew we needed each other. And then before I knew it, like it was like there were jaw-dropping moments where I was able to recognize, oh my goodness, this whole time I have kind of accused you of not knowing what you're doing. And I was accusing him of not knowing what he was doing. And then all of a sudden, when I got far enough into speaking, I was like, I was made for this. Like, he's been training me since I was 15 for this, which is beautiful.
It was like a wax on, wax off.
Yes,
experience.
it was very much.
Why am I waxing all these cars? And he's like, block this punch.
Right.
I have a friend back in England, an old friend. He felt called to. He started a charity that helped free people from sexual slavery. And all of his training for 6 years was comic opera, the kind of like white face, like funny
Opera
expression
buffa.
face.
Yes.
Yeah. He did that for years and was like, why am I doing this? And just kind of got into it, and I'm still here. And felt like it was finally like this meant nothing. And then he started going into these foreign countries, and he'd actually go to some of these brothels, and he'd be able to bring in authorities and have these places shut down. And he said the only thing that enabled me to do what he did is, he said, I spent 6 years learning how not to react when people are laughing in my face.
Yes.
Like, you've got an audience right in front of you who are literally laughing at this guy with white out face, pulling these ridiculous expressions and singing in this ridiculous voice. And he said, for 6 years, I taught myself how to keep like a dead straight face, regardless of how they react.
Yes.
And he said, now I'm in these horrific situations where I have to not react in a moment. And all of my background is actually helping me enable to do what God has me doing now.
Yes.
Even though it felt like God didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly.
I've tried to find the same example from greenkeeping.
Oh, really?
But I haven't found one yet. I really learned to mow some straight lines, and it really helped me with
It really help me with my preaching.
Sermon illustrations.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Those are good. Instant results.
Maybe that's
Instant
all there
results,
is.
right?
So
that's a good point.
as we come towards the conclusion of this episode, I just maybe just imagine with me for a moment someone who was there on Sunday and they heard your message and they started to sense that maybe God was speaking them their new name, or that maybe God was asking them to come and follow, or whatever it may be. Could you sort of paint a picture of what a journey like that might be? Some of the hard and some of the good. Yeah.
Well, I think, especially as Americans, at least 2 out of the 3 of us, we
questionable
African. I forget. Okay, so just me, right. The American
in name, but African in nature.
Yes. I really think that we tend to look for that quick fix. We tend to look for what's the answer that's going to fix everything.
Which this text doesn't help in that way. It feels so instant, like their name, and then he's following, and they're all a big band of brothers,
right. But Peter dealt with shame. He dealt with shame. And what I have found is so often we don't take that next step, whether it's getting connected in a group or whether it's, trying to step out into a new career or leave a career that feels very secure, that's providing everything you need. So often we don't step out into that. I find not only because of fear, but under fear is shame. Some form of shame about themselves. Like it's not that I need to be ashamed because I did something, but I am shame. And that is what I believe Jesus is after. He's trying to eradicate.
Yeah.
And so when he invites you, whatever that next step is, it's whether it feels gigantic to you or it feels just tiny. Even the tiniest of step is still obedience.
I really love the way that the Chosen have chosen to, the show has chosen to show Peter as a character and wrestling with some of those inner demons. And there's this lovely scene in one of the episodes where he has to go and tell his wife that Jesus has called him, and he's going with him as a disciple. And he's really worried about the conversation because he expects her to be angry.
Yeah.
And then they have this really and she's one of the best characters in the show, actually, low-key. She's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's this wonderful moment where she just tears up and she's like, I'm just so excited that somebody sees in you what I've always seen in you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There's that moment
I've forgotten about that.
she starts to say, no, I've seen this for years. You're the one that doesn't see this. This is what you're made for.
Wow.
And I think that is, on a deep level for lots of us, we're the last ones to catch on to the beautiful things that God has done in us and called us to.
Yeah.
And it so often takes someone, in this case, Jesus, but now in our case, maybe a friend, a counselor, a boss, a employee, whoever, to say, no, this is actually one of the beautiful things that I see.
Yeah.
And really, I feel God wants you to step into that.
That personal invitation from that safe person that you trust.
And it's like that actually, I think, is what the New Testament means by prophetic. It's not as much like this is thus says the Lord. It's let me speak goodness over you. Let me speak a preferred future over you. And there's something about those moments that enables us to step out of what we've believed about ourselves.
Yeah. And all right, so I'll call out sort of a beautiful thing that, like you and I talked briefly about before you actually preached. And I think the congregation caught onto it, but maybe it's fun to just name it more explicitly. So the story you told on Sunday about your own journey, being seen, the tender and maybe way longer than you would have liked journey of feeling seen. And then seeing that sort of the voice you heard when you were 15 that you couldn't speak. And then the calling you felt when you saw that other woman on stage speak. And you told me that some of that was just seeing her playfulness and casual nature. And you're like, oh, that mirrors how I would love to show up if I were in that environment. Oh no, maybe I'm called to that environment.
Yeah. And
then you did it on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of this fun thing that your illustration was illustrated in two ways. Like the fact that you're telling us this story from a platform was kind of a cool, beautiful conclusion to that story.
Thank you.
And maybe even just the beginning of that calling. So awesome.
Wow.
Anything else you want to share?
Well, I think my closing invitation to people who are feeling that nudge, like, you know, what's he inviting me into? Can I trust him 100%? Like, I've been through enough pain in life and enough disappointment and enough unanswered prayers, as well as answered, to say he is absolutely trustworthy. And the road may not look like you thought, but he knows how to walk with you in it, and he meets you there. And it is beyond that. His presence there is the gift. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. So good. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing your heart, being vulnerable with us. That's like thank you. Like, yeah, what an interesting way to start. You're like, oh, okay. So yeah, they asked me to preach for the first time on the main platform, and now I'm going to bare my soul and some of my deepest struggles and stuff. So, but you did a great job. So thanks for sharing with us. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see y'all next week. And yeah, goodbye.